Welcome HFY Sci-Fi Starbound. Subscribe my channel. The stars were quiet. Above the training station called Varela Arc, 26 moons floated like silver coins around a burning red gas giant. It was supposed to be a peaceful day. No drills, no battles. Just study and rest. But Elara felt something was wrong. She stared at the sky from the long glass hallway. Her dark eyes narrowed, her short brown hair brushing her cheeks. Her training suit was still damp with sweat. She had just finished another test, and once again she had failed. 39%, the AI had said coldly. 3 points below passing, 3 points. Always 3. She clenched her fist. I studied harder than ever, she whispered. A soft voice came from behind. Some tests are not about knowledge, said Kai, her friend. They measure something ... else. She turned. Like what? He shrugged. Something humans were never meant to have. Elara walked past him, angry. Then why are we even allowed to take the test? Kai said nothing. He looked up instead. A strange ripple passed through the sky. The stars blinked, like they were holding their breath. Then a sound came, a low hum, like a growl made of thunder and fire. The glass in the hallway shook. The lights flickered. Elara's wristband beeped. Emergency alert, unknown vessel, entering orbit. Prepare for shelter. What the hell, Kai said. This isn't a drill.
No drills today.
They had all seen the schedule. This was real. Elara tapped the panel on the wall. Space appeared and her heart jumped. A ship was approaching. Not just a ship. A massive one. Black like obsidian, covered in glowing red lines. Its engines burned green, not blue. Its front was shaped like a screaming skull. Alien writing covered its sides, old and broken like scratched stone. Kai's mouth dropped open. That's not Vyari design. That's ancient. The station shook violently. A second alert came. Emergency. Shield core breached. All students to level 0 underground bay immediately. The corridor lights turned red. Elara didn't move. They're attacking us, she said softly. But why? Kai whispered.
Oh, why?
No one has fired a shot in this system in over 200 years in the command tower, instructors shouted into glowing screens. The lead commander, Euron, slammed his fist on the table. They've disabled our shields with one pulse. This is no pirate ship. That's war tech. A young officer, trembling, said, Sir, they're hailing us. On screen, the image blinked. A face appeared. Not human. Not Vyari. Something older. A pale gray being with glowing eyes. No. Mouth and patterns across its skin like twisting vines. Its voice came directly into their minds. You opened the test. You awakened the spark. It is forbidden. You will be erased. The screen went black. Commander Euron turned to the others. Who took the test today? Elara and Kai ran down the emergency stairs as explosions rocked the station. Metal groaned around them. Students screamed. The hallway smelled like burning. Wires and fear, I don't understand. Elara shouted over the alarms. Why would taking a test cause an attack? Kai looked pale. Maybe it wasn't just a test. Maybe it's something else. Something that wakes up old tech or old memories. Stopped. Wait, you said the test measures something strange? Something humans weren't meant to have? He nodded. Yeah, the instructors don't talk about it, but rumor says it's not just about brain power. It's about something called the spark. The spark. Some species used to have it long ago. It's not anymore. The test looks for it, but it's buried like a seed. Elara blinked. What if humans still have it? Another explosion shook the hall. Then, over the speakers, all students report to escape pods. This is not a drill. They reached the bay. It was chaos. Students pushed, cried, screamed. AI bots shouted, Orders, Pod 7, open, 2 at a time.
Hurry!
But suddenly a blast rocked the floor. The ceiling tore open. A giant piece of the hull crashed down between pods. A red alarm flared. Structural failure. 30 seconds to decompression. Elara grabbed Kai's arm. There's no time. Come with me. They ran past the broken section. where air hissed into space. Her wristband blinked again. A path lit up. Safe zone, Lab Wing 3, Spark Chamber. The Spark Chamber? She said. Kai frowned.
What?
We're not allowed there. I don't care. They reached the lab just as the hallway behind them collapsed. As the heavy doors sealed shut, silence inside, the room glowed blue. Strange symbols hovered in the air. A large metal sphere floated at the center, surrounded by thin white. Rings spinning slowly, Kai walked toward it. This is it, the original spark core. Elara felt drawn to it. She stepped closer. The air felt warm around her. Her chest felt tight. Touch it, a voice said. She froze. Did you hear that? Kai shook his head. Someone said touch. The sphere pulsed, without thinking. Elara reached out her hand. The moment she touched it, everything changed. A flash of white, then stars. 1,000,000 of them. She was floating. She saw planets burning, ships fighting, great machines walking across moons. She saw humans, ancient humans, with glowing eyes and spiral symbols on their skin. They stood beside other species, fighting a great darkness. And then, silence. Then a whisper. We hid the spark inside you. One day, one of you would wake it, Elara gasped. She was back in the room. The sphere was still. Her fingers shook. Kai stared at her. Your eyes, they're glowing. Suddenly, the screen in the lab came alive. Subject Elara Thorne. Spark level 4%. Initiating activation phase. Another line appeared. Warning, unauthorized spark activation detected. Enemy beacon triggered. Kai looked at her. Elara, you just turned on a beacon. The lights dimmed. A new image appeared. A red dot blinking above Earth. Another ship was coming, bigger than the first. 12 hours target, humanity. Elara sat down hard. Because I took the test? She asked, voice trembling. I started a war? Kai didn't answer, because they both already knew the truth. The fire in the sky had faded. The strange black warship vanished without firing a final shot, but the damage was done. The Varela Arc Station now floated in emergency mode. Power drained, shieldless, scarred. Elara sat in the dim corner of the empty med bay, knees pulled close to her chest. The whisper from the ancient spark core still echoed in her mind. We hid the spark inside you, ... Why her? She didn't feel special. She didn't feel chosen. She felt scared. The tests, the failures, the invasion, they all connected somehow. And now, there was something else. A signal had been triggered. Something worse was coming. She stood, her body still shaking. I need answers, she whispered. An hour later, she slipped past 2 broken AI drones and reached the restricted wing of the station. The archive core. A cold room filled with old alien servers blinking in soft green light. This place was locked to students, especially humans. But the emergency lockdown had opened many doors. She moved quickly, keeping low, avoiding the cameras. The air smelled like metal and dust. At the far end of the room, a terminal glowed faintly. Its interface was alien, smooth silver, no keyboard, no buttons, just a circular panel and a thin black screen. She placed her hand on the circle. Nothing. She gritted her teeth. Come on, just give me something. The screen blinked. A line of alien symbols appeared, then translated themselves. Unauthorized. Access. Another line followed. Human language detected. Warning. Elara leaned in. I don't care about your warnings. She tapped the side of the console. Show me the test code. The original one. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, code revealed. Translation active. Symbols scrolled across the screen. Pages and pages of strange terms, rules, formulas, none of them made sense. But then, one line stood out. It was written in English, not translated written. The spark is not taught. It is remembered, she stared. That line wasn't from a test file. It was written in an old log, hidden deep in the memory. Maybe from thousands of years ago, whoever had written it knew humans would one day find it. Remembered suddenly. Something clicked inside her mind. That night, Elara couldn't sleep. She lay in her bunk, staring at the ceiling, eyes wide. Her head throbbed. Her heartbeat was fast. The words echoed again and again. The spark is not taught, is remembered. And then, the dreams returned. Not normal dreams. She saw spirals glowing white and violet spinning endlessly in space. She heard voices speaking in low musical tones, not in words, but in emotions. She saw stars falling like tears into the void. And then a single eye, shaped like a galaxy, blinking open. She woke up with a gasp. Sweat covered her skin. Her hands were trembling. These dreams weren't new. She'd had them since childhood. But back then, everyone said it was imagination. Her teachers called it creative sleep disorder. Her mother said it was just stress. Elara wasn't so sure. Maybe the test was never about learning. Maybe it was about remembering something buried deep inside. The next day, she found Kai again. He was in the empty simulator wing, fixing an old drone with shaky hands. "Hey," she said. He looked up. His face was pale, tired. "I know what you're going to ask," he said. "And no, I haven't taken the test again. What's the point?" "I failed 5 times. Elara sat beside him. "Maybe we failed because we were using the wrong minds?" Frowned. "What does that mean? I broke into the archive. Write a line. Die. I think it was written for us." Kai stared. "You what?" "I had to," she said. "I saw something that changed everything. The test isn't academic. It's ancient. It's looking for something inside us. Something we forgot." "Ak." Kai was silent for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. "I had those dreams too," he whispered. "When I was little, spirals, stars, music without sound." Lara's eyes widened. "Then it's real." He sat up straight. "There's a simulation pod in the old wing, decommissioned. Still has alien code inside. If we tweak it, maybe, we can run the test in open mode. No filters, no blockers." Raw input. Elara's heart raced. "Then let's do it." They worked through the night, breaking through old access panels, reconnecting wires, reprogramming parts of the alien interface. Sparks flew. Twice the pod overheated. Once, it nearly exploded. But finally the screen lit up. Open mode activated. "Begin sequence." Elara climbed into the pod. "Stay close," she told Kai. He gave her a tight nod. "I've got you." "Edie." "Lay down." The pod closed over her like a silver cocoon. Lights dimmed. The interface blinked, initiating test. She fell. Through darkness, through silence, through memory. She was no longer Elara, not fully. She was someone else. Someone. From before, she stood on a ruined world, surrounded by fire. Beside her were others. Not human, not alien, but both. Hybrid minds, spark carriers. They were dying. She reached out. Her hand glowed. The fire stopped, and then the spiral came again. Bright, endless, blinding inside it. A single word. Return. Suddenly, a shock tore through her. She gasped. Her eyes opened. Her body arched inside the pod. The symbols from her dream burned into her mind. She could see them even with her eyes closed, floating in the air. She screamed. Outside, Kai watched as the pod shook violently. "End the program," he shouted. But the system didn't respond. The symbols appeared on the screen. Spirals, eyes, unknown characters that moved like living things. Then the pod hissed open. Elara lay there, sweating, trembling. Her eyes were glowing silver, faint, flickering. But Real. Kai stepped back. "Elara." She sat up slowly, breathing hard. Her voice was hoarse. "I remember," she whispered. In the cold shadows of the observation deck, a Viari monitor watched the simulation logs with silent horror. The screen pulsed with energy data. Lines of glowing red code scrolled past. Then, a neural scan of a human brain appeared. The results flashed. Match found. Neural pattern. Forbidden class. At the Vayari monitor whispered, almost trembling. Impossible. Her neural patterns matched the forbidden ones. He turned to alert the council. But it was already too late. Elara sat alone in the old sim-pod chamber. Her hands were shaking. Her heartbeat still hadn't slowed since the test. Her reflection in the glass showed it. Clearly, the silver glow in her eyes was still there. Not bright, but real. Faint like moonlight. Flickering like memory, Kai sat beside her, watching quietly. "Do you feel different?" he asked softly. "Yes," she said. "How?" She looked up at the ceiling. "I don't know how to explain it. I remember things I've never seen before. I understand shapes I can't read. I can feel patterns in sound." Nodded slowly. The spark. Elara touched her forehead. "It's like something's been sleeping inside me my whole life. And now it's waking up." Deep below Varela Arc, the Vayari High Council gathered in a dark, silent chamber. 12 tall beings in silver robes stood in a circle. Their faces were hidden behind curved masks. A hologram floated above them. Elara's glowing test data. The voice of the monitor echoed in the hall. She scored 41%. That is above the threshold. "She is human," another counselor hissed. "Humans have never passed." "Not since the purge," someone whispered. "Then we made a mistake," said the tallest among them. "We allowed one of the forgotten to take the test." A new screen appeared, old, grainy, buried in layers of locked code. It showed Earth, thousands of years ago. Human ships rising into space. Human minds connecting with alien tech. A glowing alliance of 5 species. And then darkness, fire, war. Silence. A red banner appeared over the image. Humanity, status purged, spark locked. The counselor stepped forward. She has unlocked a subroutine that hasn't been active in 200 millennia. If she goes further, another said, she could wake the gate systems. We must stop her. But Elara didn't stop. She couldn't. That night, she walked alone into the central library wing, following something only she could see. Lines of light danced in her vision, soft blue trails curving gently across the walls and floor. Not real light, something else. Like memories turned into paths. She reached a blank wall. To anyone else, it was just steel. But she saw the symbol, a spiral etched in invisible light. She pressed her hand against it. A soft click, a secret door opened. Inside was a single ancient machine round, silent, layered in dust. Elara stepped forward and placed her hand on it. "Genetic marker confirmed," said a soft alien voice. "Spark lineage detected." A wave of warmth rushed through her, her breath caught in her throat. She saw flashes again, children in silver suits learning from glowing orbs. A woman with spirals on her arms commanding a ship with her mind. 5 species standing side by side, looking to the stars, and always the humans at the center. She staggered back. "I've seen this before," she whispered. The next morning, Elara did the unthinkable. She walked straight into the test chamber and asked to take it again. The AI examiner stared at her in silence. "You have failed 3 times, it said. Further attempts are not recommended." "I'm not asking for permission," she said calmly. The AI paused. Then, "Test authorized, begin." She closed her eyes. This time, questions didn't feel like questions. They felt like memories. The images came fast. Shifting puzzles, impossible shapes. Sound that folded in on itself. But she didn't think. She felt, she remembered, time passed like a dream. Then the AI said, "Test complete. Score, 41%. Not a perfect score. Not a perfect score. Not even a full pass. But above the threshold. The number that changed everything." Alarms flared in the Vayari Council chamber. The data spread across the Galactic network, in distant labs and war rooms. Red alerts blinked. A human had passed the spark test, for the first time in 200,000 years, and worse her. Spark activation matched old forbidden codes, the kind tied to ancient systems, the kind tied to star relays and gates. That night, Elara didn't sleep. She lay on her bunk, staring at the ceiling. Kai sat nearby, watching over her. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know," he said gently. "I feel like walking a path that was meant for someone else." Kai leaned forward. "Maybe it was meant for all of us, just lost along the way." She closed her eyes, and that's when she saw it. The dream, but different this time. She stood in space. Her body made of light, around her thousands of stars, and in front of her an ancient map. Glowing in mid-air, she saw Earth, clearly marked, but next to it, something strange, a single phrase floating beside her home planet, "Awaken last." Elara woke up, gasping for air. Her skin was cold. Her eyes were wide. Kai ran to her. "What happened?" She looked at him, barely able to speak. "The test. It's not just a test," she said. Kai frowned. "Then what is it?" She whispered. "It's a key. And Earth is the last lock." Cold blue lights blinked overhead as Elara stood inside the scanning chamber. Her body shook. Not from fear, but from something deep and unknown building inside her. The AI examiner's voice echoed through the chamber. "Analyzing subject. Neural activity elevated. Genetic lineage. Usual. Warning. Subject carries archaic vector. Origin. Pre-collapse species. This spark should not exist." The machine went silent. Elara's eyes widened. She stepped backward. But the chamber doors slammed shut behind her. Elara didn't sleep that night. She paced the small cell. The council had locked her in bare walls, cold floor, no window, no way out. Kai was in another cell somewhere nearby. They had been taken. Without warning, 2 silent VR agents had grabbed them from the library, arms stiff, no explanation. No trial, no questions. Just a scan. In silence, the words kept spinning in her mind. Pre-collapse species. She didn't know what that meant, but she knew it had to do with the visions, the glowing spiral, the map, the phrase that still haunted her. Awaken last. She sank to the floor and whispered, "What am I waking up?" In the high chamber above, the VR council gathered again. Screens showed her scan results. Glowing bright red. "Her spark sequence is ancient," said one. "It predates the collapse," said another. "This should be impossible," a third added quietly, "unless humanity was never erased." "That cannot be," said the lead counselor. "They were wiped, locked, their systems sealed, their worlds forgotten. But this girl, Elara has awakened something. And if the Spark protocols finish downloading, she will be able to rewrite the test. Let's rewrite everything," the council voted. She was to be transported off-world and placed in deep stasis forever. But not everyone on the council agreed. In a quiet corridor lit with soft amber light, a tall VR male moved through the shadows. His robes were old, worn, marked with spirals most no longer used. His name was Heel. He believed in the old stories, the ones the council had erased. Vale moved with purpose toward the lower detention deck. He passed a wall scanner without triggering. His hand carried a stolen override device. He stopped outside Elara's cell and tapped the lock. The door slid open with a hiss. Elara looked up, startled. "Who are you?" she asked, standing slowly. "I'm someone who remembers," Vale said, voice calm but urgent. "Come with me, quickly." Vale led her down a maintenance tunnel, silent and dark. Moments later, they reached Kai's cell. Vale opened it without. A word Kai nearly lunged at him, but Elara held him back. "He's helping us," she said. Kai stared, confused. "Why?" Vale replied. "Because if you don't finish what has started, the galaxy will never heal." It led them to a hidden ship docked beneath the stations. Small, silent, shielded. "Where are we going?" Elara asked. "To the Dyson ring," Vale answered. "The last one's still awake, built by the ones who created the spark." Elara blinked. "That's just a myth." Vale shook his head. "Not anymore. The Darny took 2 days. The Dyson ring floated beyond the gas clouds of Town 91, invisible to most sensors. It was a colossal artificial structure, a ring larger than a planet, orbiting a dead white dwarf star. Light still glowed on its inner surface. Ancient machines still moved. Entire learning systems built by the precursor species older than Vayari, older than memory. Elara stood at the edge of the docking bay and stared at it through the glass. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Vale nodded. "This is where the first sparks were trained, where the final one must be awakened." They landed on a platform that hadn't been touched in 10,000 years. Doors opened too. Darkness. The air was cold, dry, still. Then the walls lit up as Elara stepped forward, responding to her presence. Inside the Dyson learning core, the chair, a single seat, shaped like a spiral shell, surrounded by tall silver towers humming with low sound. Vale placed a hand on her shoulder. "Sit. Let it see you." Kai touched her hand gently. "Are you sure?" "No," Elara whispered, "but I have to try." She sat. The chair moved. It tilted back slowly, adjusting to her spine, her pulse, her thoughts. "Spark match confirmed," said a low voice from the air. "Download initiated." Elara's vision exploded into light. Not pain, but pressure. Like her brain was unfolding. Streams of information rushed into her mind. Images, equations, languages. She didn't know, but somehow understood. Star charts, spiral codes, emotional signals, forgotten memories. She gasped as her mouth moved on its own. Words came out in a voice that didn't sound. Like hers, Kalos Ventirale. Nvela Ruma Taran. Kai stepped back, eyes wide. "What language is that?" Vel whispered, almost crying. "That's Starborn."
Ow.
No one's spoken it in over 200,000 years. Symbols burned in the air above the towers, flashing, glowing. Spinning like stars, the machine spoke again. "Starmind phase. Ready?" Elara blinked. "Do you wish to proceed?" She looked at Kai. He nodded once firmly. "Yes," she said. The towers opened like petals. Light poured inward. Elara's body lifted from the chair. She floated, arms stretched, back arched, eyes glowing silver white. Her hair drifted like smoke. Her skin shimmered with faint patterned spirals and lines. Shifting like waves, the machine said, "Initiating Starmind." Kai shouted, "Elara!" But she didn't answer. She wasn't there anymore. Her mind was flying across stars, touching. Memories of species long gone. Seeing the fall of civilizations, the birth of the spark. The truth behind the collapse. The Dyson ring responded to her all across the structure. Systems came alive. Light raced through the walls. Engines hummed. Satellites spun awake. The entire ring dash reactivated. And then Lara screamed. The force hit her like fire. She fell unconscious. Her body floated, midder glowing. Suspended while the Dyson ring spun faster, faster, preparing for something ancient, ... The soft hum inside the Dyson ring shifted to a sharp pulse. A voice echoed from deep within the core systems. Unknown neural pattern detected. Human consciousness bonded, initiating legacy protocol. Lara's eyes fluttered open, but her mind was already elsewhere, traveling through memories that were not her own. Elara floated in a void of light and shadow. She wasn't herself. Not really. She saw stars born and die in seconds, great cities rise and fall. Titans of metal and energy clashed in endless war. She was watching the first war. The war between the salt-born species and the machine overlords. Vessels that moved. Like living machines hunted the carriers of the spark. Trying to erase them forever, she saw humans, not like now, but as the last architects, creators and leaders among the ancient alliance. But then she saw the choice. The humans erased themselves. Not out of defeat, but to save the galaxy. To stop the machines, their DNA, their knowledge, their memories, locked deep inside their descendants. Hidden and forgotten. Lara gasped. Her own DNA was the key. The fragments in her blood were command keys, part of the ancient system. Scattered across time, she realized. The test was never about passing. It was about rebuilding, reawakening the spark from ashes, back in the real world. The Dyson ring stirred. Lights blazed along its vast arc system's long, silent roared to life. But on the station orbiting nearby, Viari warships approached fast. The High Council had sent a fleet. The final order to destroy the ring and all who dared awaken its power. Missiles locked on, weapons charged. The captain of the lead Viari cruiser stared at the glowing ring. On the sensors, destroy it. Now. Inside the ring, Elara's mind raced. She heard voices not spoken, but felt in her mind. You are the key, the last architect. Spark reborn. Energy coursed through her. She reached out with her mind and touched the core. Systems the ring answered. It pulsed. It lived. A great star map appeared before her, constellations, wormholes. Gates and Earth at the center, beside it a warning. Flashed in ancient symbols, waken last, protect the seed. Elara understood now. She was not just a test subject, she was the final hope. As the Viari fleet closed, the Dyson ring began its own defense. A warning beam fired, a piercing shaft of light aimed at Jupiter. The massive gas giant caught the beam, glowing with a strange golden light. In the control room of the station orbiting Jupiter, alarms screamed. Technicians stared in shock. Is that a warning? One whispered. The screen showed the ring's symbol. Spiral of stars and light. The battle was about to begin, and Elara was at its heart. Deep beneath Antarctica's thick ice, something long forgotten began to stir. A glowing spiral pulsed. Slowly, humming beneath layers of frozen rock and snow, the ancient signal woke. Elara sat quietly inside the ship's cockpit, her silver eyes scanning star charts. The Dyson ring's warning beam had activated Earth's hidden defense, ancient relic site. Dormant for thousands of years, Kai sat beside her, fidgeting with a small device. Vale stood behind, eyes sharp. Earth is calling, Elara said softly, and we have to answer. Meanwhile, on the Viari Council, a heated debate raged. This anomaly must be contained, one counselor demanded. If she reaches Earth, all could be lost. Force is necessary, said another. Prepare the fleet. But Vale's voice cut through the chamber. She is not just a threat, she is a hope. We've erased our history too long. The vote. Past the council would send a strike team. Elara, Kai, and Vale had no time. The ship entered Earth's orbit, the blue planet shining with life and mystery. They landed in Antarctica, near a vast frozen plain under the ice. They found Site Zero, a massive underground vault carved into the rock. It's covered in ancient spiral symbols. Vale pressed a hand to the wall. It's the seal where humanity locked their spark away. Inside Site Zero, the air was cold and still. The walls shimmered with soft light. At the center stood a massive gate, etched with swirling patterns that seemed alive. A voice echoed in Elara's mind. To proceed, you must pass the final test. The test of memory and emotion. Elara stepped forward. Images flashed before her eyes, faces from her past. Her mother's gentle smile. The day she died. Taken by illness, Elara couldn't stop. Tears welled up. The test was not about strength or skill. It was about empathy, understanding loss, pain, and hope. Elara reached out and touched the gate. Her heart opened. She felt her mother's love, the pain of loss, and the spark of hope that carried her forward. The gate shimmered and slowly opened. Inside lay the star mind beacon, an ancient device. Glowing with pure energy, Elara felt its power flow into her. She was no longer just a student or a test subject. She was the bearer of the spark. Outside, the council's fleet appeared, weapons charging. But Elara stood calm. Her eyes shone bright silver. She whispered, I am ready. Across the vast Viari Empire, every citizen's holoscreen flickered at once. A message, hacked and broadcast galaxy-wide, flashed in clear, unbreakable code. Your leaders lied. Humanity did not forget. We chose silence. The words burned. Through every mind, Elara's voice, calm but powerful, filled the network. Old memories, long buried and hidden from view, streamed across the stars. Ancient records. Holograms of humans standing beside aliens, not as slaves or outcasts, but as founders. Evidence that humans had never forgotten their role. Chaos erupted. Small worlds. Lesser species, the ones the Council ignored or oppressed, began to question their rulers. If humans remembered, one leader whispered, "What else have they lied about?" The fabric of the Empire trembled. In the dark chambers of the Vayari High Council, fury boiled. The Elder Counselors prepared their deadliest weapon. The silent fleet ships designed for one purpose, to erase all. Spark-bearing civilizations. The fleet moved out, silent as death, ready to strike. But Elara was ready too. She and Kai and Vale gathered the outcasts, the species who had failed the test. The ones pushed aside and forgotten. They were many. Their hope was one. Together, they programmed the Dyson. Ring the ancient relic to become a hyperspace transmitter, a beacon of resistance. Elara stood at the core of the ring, watching the code run. A final challenge appeared on her interface. The last test. Open the Spark Vault, or destroy it forever. The vault whispered in her mind. Once opened, the galaxy will burn or be reborn. Elara closed her eyes. Her choice would decide the fate of all. Above Earth, 30 massive Vayari warships formed a dark ring in the sky. Their commander's voice thundered over every channel. Surrender the spark, or perish with it. The ultimatum echoed like a death knell. Elara stood at the heart of the Starmind beacon inside, Site 0. Her silver eyes glowed brighter than ever. Activate Earth's defenses, she commanded. After 200,000 years of silence, the planet responded. Ancient systems stirred beneath the surface, old satellites blinked on. Hidden weapon platforms hummed to life. A shield of shimmering light bloomed over Earth's atmosphere. The Vayari ships fired, but their weapons met not destruction, but waves of light and sound that stunned without harm. Elara controlled it all. Through the beacon, turning the tide without bloodshed, she whispered, "This isn't war. It's a wake-up call." Across the stars, others answered her signal. Alien outcasts, forgotten species. Those failed by the Council's cruel tests, they called themselves the Remembered. Ships gathered from every corner of the galaxy. They came not as conquerors, as allies, but in the shadows betrayal brewed. Vale, the one who had saved them, revealed his true plan. In secret, he uploaded a virus into the beacon's core. Elara felt the corruption spread like fire in her mind. She screamed silently. It's fighting. To hold control, the virus twisted thoughts, turning memories against her. In the chaos, the beacon revealed visions. Two futures lay before her, one of unity species united by the spark, peace blossoming across the galaxy, the other extinction. All life snuffed out in endless war, and then a third path appeared, unknown, impossible. But Elara opened her eyes, calm and fierce. She whispered, "I choose the path no one has seen before." The Starmind beacon pulsed brighter than ever. A voice echoed calm and strong, new protocol initiated. Creator Elara, redefine the spark. Elara sat at the core of the Dyson Ring's control chamber. Her mind raced as she rewrote the ancient test. The old spark test measured only raw power, cold logic, and strict obedience, but Elara knew that wasn't enough. The spark had to be more. She changed the rules the new test rewarded. Creativity, the ability to think beyond limits. It rewarded emotion, the power to understand, to care. It rewarded. Sacrifice the strength to put others first. The test was no longer a gate for the chosen few. It was a spark for all. Kai stepped forward. He smiled. Nervous but ready, he began the test. The questions came, not puzzles, but moments of choice. Moments that touched his heart. He answered not with cold logic, but with kindness and courage. When the final score appeared, it was not a number. It was a light, a glowing mark of true spark Kai had passed. Soon others followed, species thought too weak to simple, or too different began to awaken their spark. The galaxy filled with new hope. The Viari Empire, once proud and unyielding, began to crumble. Factions broke away. Doubts spread like wildfire. The High Council's power faded. Elara, radiant and calm, stood before the shattered council. Her eyes shone silver with ancient light. She spoke softly but clearly. "Evolve," she said, "or be forgotten." The oldest Viari stepped forward. He looked at Elara with tired eyes. He bowed deeply. "We failed the test, didn't we?" Lara smiled gently. "No, you just forgot the true meaning of the spark, high above Earth, in the quiet of space." Memorial glowed softly. Its light swept gently across the stars. A simple message hovered in glowing text. To the girl who never scored above 40%. Until she changed everything. Elara stood before the memorial, her eyes reflecting the shining letters. She had become the first human sparkmaker in over 200,000 years. Not a warrior, not conqueror, but a teacher. The galaxy had changed. The spark no longer belonged to a chosen few. It belonged to all. Elara watched ships from dozens of species arrive at Earth not to fight, but to learn, to share, to grow. But Elara did not seek glory. She declined titles and honors. She returned to Earth's soil, to quiet fields and gentle rains. She planted trees low, steady life that stretched toward the sun. In her heart, she knew the spark lived everywhere now, in every mind, every soul, every species, far away. On a small moon orbiting a blue gas giant, a child sat before a glowing screen. The test appeared. Simple. Words flashed. You passed. The child smiled. A new dawn had begun. The Eon D. Thank you for watching. She couldn't score above 40% until she shattered the test and made history.